average. I'm sick of being mortal, I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold, they will watch in amazement. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start over? I keep waiting. Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
So, hello guys, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So, I'm here with Mate, and welcome back, mate. And I guess let's kick it off. So, last time we actually talked about the happy hormones, the hormones, and the neurotransmitters, right? So, maybe if we can actually talk more about that and how we can actually what they are and how we can actually optimize those.
Thanks, Shubham. Welcome, everyone. At first, I wanted to start with some full transparency and a personal admission. I relapsed, and as a result of that, I'm vaping again. After my men's physique competition, I will quit or attempt to quit again. This time it's going to be successful. I will create a separate video about why I relapsed, what happened, and also I missed a very important component, which is mapping what this represents. I just wanted to be fully honest with you. Thanks a lot for welcoming me back, Shubham, and welcome everyone for BulldogMatt's Healthy Masculinity on neurotransmitters and their role in our mood and everyday life, part two. Um,
Sure. We'll actually put up a link in the eye icon above. So that will actually lead you us to the older video, that the part one of this. And we are going into this like with the runner's high to like all the motivation, reward, and the functions behind it. And we'll be talking about how we can actually optimize these hormones and manage stress and actually increase the lifestyle. So let's get into it. Go ahead, Mate.
sure. Let me share my screen because I prepared a presentation for that.
Hmm?
Um,
You start with the slideshow.
okay, so last time we talked about oxytocin and serotonin. Um, those are two of my favorite hormones. Today, or tonight if you like, I would like to talk about endorphin and dopamine. I missed one key neurotransmitter because it's not necessarily a neurotransmitter, but it has a very important role in human relationships, romantic and other relationships alike, which is vasopressin. Um, I believe you had a question about it, but I'm not sure. Or um, we had a comment about it. Would you mind reminding me, Shubham, please?
Sure. I'll ask you. So it is when like we talk about the feeling of pleasure, right?
Yep. Um, right. So, uh, what is the question? Sorry. Or
So
should I go there and you will? Okay. So endorphin, the role of endorphin in our life and its effects. Endorphin is sort of like a naturally produced morphine in our body, uh, external morphine or internal morphine, endorphin. Very telling name. It's produced within the body. It's a peptide, but because it's a peptide, you can get it externally if it's required. Endorphins are the body's natural feel-good chemicals, acting both as neurotransmitters but also as natural painkillers. So they not only make you feel good, but also numb the pain to some extent, which is why when I was talking about my experience in full contact fighting, I explained to you that during during the actual fight, I yeah, I felt pain, but not to the same level as I would normally do, and that because I was really hyped up on endorphin. I was high on endorphin. Um, Beta endorphin is responsible for the pain relief, and actually, this is natural, but it is more potent than morphine, and yet not addictive, which is quite good. It plays an important role in reducing stress because it lowers your cortisol levels, and usually it's released in response to stressful situations, be it emotionally stressful or physically, mostly through physical stress, which is why if you ask any full contact fighter or professional fighter, um, they part of the reason why they feel like losing of purpose when they stop fighting is because that high on endorphin is quite addictive, and it's very difficult to get it any other way. Well, not that difficult, but you don't get the same amount released through regular activities. It promotes an overall sense of well-being because it interacts with the brain's reward system. So you feel pleasure, happiness, and well-being, and you sort of want to hug the word.
Yep. So here we see, right? So it actually, like you kind of mentioned, that it actually relates with the connection, right? Connection with the person and anyone, right? So how it helps us like release the happy hormones, and how we can actually like optimize the release, and we can validate those, and how it works basically.
Um, I will answer the how it works a little bit later during the
Mm-hmm.
presentation, if you don't mind. But if our audience is interesting in me talking about how the neurotransmitters specifically regulate human relationships, especially romantic relationships, then please put down in the comment something like, I want to know about how hormones affect our romantic relationships. And then if I get 10 comments, then I will prepare a presentation about that and further down the line, even connected to attachment styles and the difference
Mm-hmm.
between male and female pathways of romantic attachment, explaining it purely on a hormonal level.
Sure.
Um, Endorphins can influence your food intake and choices, playing a role in motivational components of the reward behavior. Very similar to what we're talking about in oxytocin, about serotonin. And you will be able to observe the same thing um, in not only in serotonin, but especially in dopamine. It influences our behavior, mainly sexual activities, and contributes to feeling of pleasure derived from activities like music, laughter, sex, fighting, and intense physical activity. How does it regulate mood and sleep? In terms of mood management, I think it's important to mention that regular painkillers, especially a morphine-like hormone, will obviously give you some sort of a high, so you're in a better mood. But also, if you're in constant pain, like when I had a stage 4 osteoarthritis, and I was constantly in pain, um, it started changing my personality and mood on an everyday basis. So we can easily see the connection how something that not only makes you feel good but numbs physical pain will play a key role in regulating your nervous system and affecting your mood. And of course, if you're in pain, then it's a bit difficult to fall asleep. Um, Endorphin, in a very funny way, can help you indirectly transitioning out of your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight nervous system state. In order to be calm and be able to sleep, you have to transition out from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system. Um, it plays a key role in sleep optimization. Endorphins are associated with the regulation of our circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is basically under normal circumstances, if we sleep really well, then our sleep patterns will follow the sun, insofar as during summertime, we naturally go to bed a little bit later because the sun is up for quite late, and we wake up earlier because sunrise is also happening sooner. Conversely, during winter time, we tend to sleep a little bit more. And endorphin regulates that kind of connection. And sleep versus wake cycles. Endorphin levels can increase during the slow wave sleep or deep sleep, um, which is responsible mainly for recovery from physical exhaustion. It's the most restorative stage of the sleep. It's responsible for cellular repair. No, I can't talk. And memory consolidation. I do apologize. I'm practically a week out of my competition. I'm on 1,400 calories, 100 gram of carbs, a little bit sleep deprived. So sorry about that.
It's actually really great that you're still here, even after on that strict kind of diet and levels, right?
Thank you. Endorphins also contribute to stress reduction and relaxation, not whilst you're high on endorphin, but when you're coming down, it's easier to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that can improve your sleep. However, it can also inhibit sleep, and I can testify to that because I always have messed up sleep on Tuesday evenings, Wednesday mornings. Why? Because I have late night Kyokushin training, or used to have, on Tuesday nights, and I finish Kyokushin at 9 p.m. Usually I go all out, very high in my sympathetic nervous state, get home by 9:30, still have to walk the dog, eat some dinner, whatever. So uh, I can't get out of it until 11 p.m., which is quite late and much later than my regular sleep routine. Um, Implications for sleep quality, therefore, is the timing of the exercises you do on a regular basis. So if you don't want to end up like me on Wednesday mornings, let's say you're not doing martial arts, let's say you go to the gym, try to go to the try to make sure that you finish your exercises 2 hours before bedtime at the latest, which basically allows endorphin levels to come down gradually. And by the time you get to sleep, you do a little bit of meditation, and you can just use this coming down to calm down, relax, and fall into deep sleep.
Yeah, but I do have a question here because as I'm in India, maybe your time work timings actually differ. But in India, like if we say right, so a lot of people, or I can say 90% of the people that I actually know, right, they usually get off work by 7 and then they had to like prepare their dinner, and after that they go to gym, right? They spend like an hour or two in the gym, and then they have to follow sleep, right? So at that time they can't just go back to sleep because
No.
as you have just mentioned that we actually need to get the endorphins level down. So are they actually messing it up? They should do it or not? Should we actually like should
Well,
they
look,
actually move?
so in general, there's a fine balance. So I wouldn't give up karate just because I sleep 1 hour less, but it's
Mhm.
not ideal. However, if it's the gym, gyms are open, so I would rather wake up early, go to the gym before work, or use lunchtime or whatever,
Mhm.
um, and try to regulate my life or manage my life in a way that supports sleep. Um, Anyone who I ever have coached, and not in a professional capacity because I only do it as a favor, the first thing I look at is always sleep. If you have emotional issues, usually it messes up your sleep. If your sleep is disturbed, then you will have mood issues, you have issues with your neurotransmitters. Um, if you have hormonal imbalances, that could be down to very poor sleep. If you want to make sure that you produce testosterone, for example, naturally, and growth hormone, sleeping in line with your natural circadian rhythm is one of the most vital things you can do. Uh, you need to do basically three things: um, have a healthy diet that is conducive of producing your neurotransmitters and other hormones. You have to sleep in line with your circadian rhythm, and you have to exercise regularly. But as I mentioned, I will create a separate video about sleep management, sleep routine, the importance of sleep, what you can do, whatever. Um, Stress management, endorphin, if you exercise regularly and do activities regularly that optimize your endorphin levels, it will help you manage stress, anxiety, improve your sleep, which will then indirectly improve everything else. So it's really important to be mindful and be in control of your life. And not just think about it as it's psychiatric or hormonal stuff. We just live our life, and whatever happens, happens.
That's not how it should be, right?
Yeah. There's um, if you want to change your life and commit it to a conscious lifestyle, do me a favor and put down in the comments. Um, from now on, I want to live consciously, so that I know that um, you actually there. There's a reason, and it makes sense for us to do this channel.
That's true.
Okay, so how to optimize or boost your endorphin levels naturally? Anytime when you can boost any of your neurotransmitters naturally without supplements, I mean, or medication, it's the best way to do it. Why? Because an imbalance, so if you intervene with any kind of medication, it's a very harsh intervention, and they interact with each other. So um, you might have symptoms of anxiety and sleep issues, but both ends of the spectrum can cause it. So not only low levels of serotonin or endorphin, but also you can get serotonin symptom, which will actually look like exactly the same as low serotonin. And then if you go to an ignorant doctor and they put you on SSRIs, then you just start digging yourself an even bigger hole, and on top of that, create an addiction. However, if you optimize it naturally, then you can't go wrong because your body knows better. Um, there's a phenomenon called runner's high,
Yes.
and it's actually true. If you run, especially for extremely long distance, and fatigue yourself and push yourself through the threshold of pain, fatigue, you will feel that runner's high through endorphin. Uh, the other effect is that you're basically conditioning your brain that you're capable of pushing through hardship, which will um, also create some rewiring in your neurons. So it's very healthy. Um, Aerobic activities, long distance running, as I just mentioned, high intensity interval training, martial arts. Um, Try to do some pleasurable activities, um, sex, eating palatable foods, listening to music that makes you happy, getting a massage. Um,
So
laughter. Laughter has healing properties.
yeah. So I have like two things to comment on here. So I have heard of this runner's high, right? But for me, it was something like, yeah, that is just a hypothetical thing. Is
No,
it
it's
a
not.
really thing, or like, as if you have said it, it's like a real thing, and it is a chemical process that actually happens? Because what I have seen, that we might have thought about that, yeah, that we have to cover long distance. Now I have to go through it,
Yeah.
right?
At the end of the presentation, I credited a lot of references, so it has plenty of scientific studies and clinical documentation of that. But on top of that, there's a reason why um, people who are really not just athletes, but people who I would call sportsmen, um, we are addicted to that kind of lifestyle.
Yep.
And the biological reason behind it is because it gives us a lot of reward hormones. As a matter of fact, when I go on a break for more than a week, I can sense in myself getting lethargic, insufficient energy, feeling really low. Um, there's a Japanese f- phrase or saying or concept called va, which
Hmm.
basically tells us that if you want to recover from extreme cognitive fatigue, as funny as it sounds, the way to do it is through hard physical exercise because you
Hmm.
need to balance out the two. Then restorative sleep, and then everything will improve. Meditation is good for endorphin production as well. Yoga and certain foods, dark chocolates. If that sounds familiar, or if you see a pattern here, please put down in the comments. I see the pattern here.
Yep. I will actually ask that question, as it is there already. But actually, it is interesting that laughter actually release endorphins, right? So let's say I don't usually do it anymore. Neither I think you do. So like a nice session or a outing with friends might actually help with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are certain so people with avoidant attachment styles who can
That's
Um, I will introduce this concept later, and I will dedicate a series about attachment styles. But people with relatively not an extreme avoidant attachment style, when they can only relieve stress through the dopamine pathway because everything else is shut down, um, maybe vasopressin, but um, they usually subconsciously seek out these activities. Um, my previous partner was addicted to comedies, and at first I did not really understand why. Now I do, because of course I
Uh-huh.
started researching it. Laughter has a healing property, and you can find references to that in spiritual gurus, spiritual guidance, some religious concepts, but also in human psychology and psychiatry. So, um, usually, if you get into a happy state of mind, that on its own is very healing.
Yes, so that actually answers my questions, right?
I'm
But we'd
glad.
actually love to hear from our audience that what's their actually go-to activity for the endorphin boost, and is it tough workout, a good laugh, or like how they actually like enjoy their food, some spicy food, as we mentioned, or they can let us know in the comments, right?
It's also okay to say BDSM kind of sex because, of course, it
Yes.
works through the sex pathway, but also through the pain relief. And it's not like you're commenting on an open channel in front of the word, so feel free to do that.
Yes. So we can actually have a CTA that will be coming directly to us, and they don't have to worry about that. It will be public.
All right.
Great.
Sorry about
Great.
my bad
Right?
sense of humor. Dopamine, my favorite. The key roles of dopamine. Dopamine is our main and primary reward and motivation hormone that is derived from mammals, especially chimpanzees. Um, it's a little bit funny that dopamine is sort of the hormone that regulates your drive. What do I mean by that? A monkey that sees a banana wants to have the banana. The act of going to get the banana will give him a drive or her a drive, but also it releases a little bit of dopamine. Getting the banana, on the other hand, shuts down dopamine production after you get it. However, the act of getting it um, gives you a high through the dopamine pathway. Now, the importance of that is by chasing dopamine like activities, your brain starts to hardwire pathways and behaviors that will uh, make you try to do that again, which is why it's a double edged sword because any kind of activity that works through your dopamine pathways can be therefore be really addictive.
Uh-huh. So I guess like we have been seeing this dopamine everywhere. Not even like since I'm not aware of about all this, but I have heard this term, right? So like maybe is it something like when we go through the social media, if I'm watching reels or if I'm
Yes,
watching TikTok,
yes,
right? So that one more scroll, right? Is it something that dopamine is actually making me get hooked at?
yes, because you get excited. Oh, I got a new like. You have like
Uh-huh.
a good feeling about it. Oh, who saw my video? Who commented on this? Who did this? And it creates an
Yes.
addiction to the bloody phone. One of the rituals I have implemented, and it's quite funny because my avoidant ex wanted to do that, but I refused. Now that I'm doing it for myself, I'm following it religiously. Um, no blue screen time 2 hours before bed, and I keep my phone in the kitchen. I can't reach it when I'm in bed because I need to guard my sleep.
Yep.
Um, Dopamine also plays a key role in movement regulation and coordinating voluntary movement. Dopamine deficiency is one of the primary causes of Parkinson's disease, which is an
Uh-huh.
awful, awful illness.
Uh,
So, sorry.
yeah. So I just had this thing that, as you mentioned, right? So it actually is a motivation hormone that we are kind
Absolutely.
of like saying, right? So if dopamine is a motivation hormone, right? Then how we can actually like sometimes we think that yeah, we don't want to do something, right? But when we actually do it, it actually makes us so happy that yeah, you get hooked to it.
Because achieving a goal on its own is a reward, and uh, it triggers dopamine release. When I will talk to in the conscious life discipline the importance of goal setting and creating smart objectives and breaking it down to small incremental milestones that you can achieve. The reason you do that is A, because then you can see the progress, not just something far ahead, but also as you hit every single milestone, it triggers a dopamine release, makes you feel better, which, as I said, induces brain wiring to repeat it, go forward. Part of the reason martial arts, they created this for Europeans mainly because in Japan, in the old days, there was only white and then black belt, nothing in between. But when they wanted to popularize these systems, the Japanese are very, very clever and smart. They
They
realized that
really
they needed to work with our main reward system. So the reason we have so many belts now is because this gradual progress also works through the dopamine pathway. I've been doing this for
got it.
4 months. I go through a test. It's a little bit difficult. I have a sense of, okay, I achieved something. I was able to push through hardship. It might induce a little bit of endorphin release. It reassures my brain that I can do hard stuff so I can motivate myself further. Plus, I get a big dopamine hit. I have a feel good factor. And this is conducive of repeating, going back. Dopamine plays a key role in learning and memory. It strengthens neural connections and helps you connect habits and store memories with things that are rewarding. I think I just explained it in many
Yes.
other ways.
Yep.
Um, it improves our cognition. So, dopamine influences attention, decision making, and also impulse control. In mood and emotion regulation, it plays a significant role in mood regulation because if your dopamine levels are low, then you will feel tired, you will feel lack of motivation and lethargic, decreased feeling of joy in general. You have a higher susceptibility to risk taking or addiction uh, because your decision making is a bit screwed. Whereas conversely, too high dopamine levels, well, in general, high dopamine levels will give you more energy, feeling euphoric, a little bit more impulsive, ready to take on more risk. Men are way more susceptible to this because we have more dopamine receptors than women. And also, testosterone on its own acts as a dopamine agonist.
Huh?
So, people with low testosterone levels have a lower dopamine drive, and there's a connection between the symptoms. So, fatigue, tiredness, lack of motivation, everything needs extreme amount of willpower to do that. If your testosterone levels are low or lower than what your body is used to, then you have all these symptoms, and that's because of lower than average dopamine levels. Conversely, if you take a lot of testosterone, it will agonize your dopamine through the roof, and you will be extremely motivated, extremely driven. Let's go, take risk. I'm gonna do that.
Uh,
A lot of
Great.
marketing
So,
stuff and corporate, I would say, dark triad tactics operate on dopamine.
Pain I felt is